Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of FooTea Fantasy, where we discuss football and FPL over a cup of tea. I'm your host Shouvik, and I'm joined by Shourav. Uh, Today we are going to review the Game Week 9 of the English Premier League, and we'll be focusing on the FPL uh, part of it. So the episode will be focused on the FPL uh, to help all the FPL managers with their decisions and the teams while we review our teams as well. So before we start, Shorab, we just uh, it feels like so much of football action is going on. We just reviewed Game Week 8, and then we had a couple of days of some great Champions League football. So a lot of football and happy days for us. So did you follow any of the Champions League matches?
Yeah, the Champions League matches are quite interesting now. I think we have seen huge scores. We have seen teams barely winning, last minute turnarounds. So yeah, it has been
Yeah.
quite exciting.
Yeah, and the new format does make it a little bit more exciting, and I think for teams a little bit the all the matches are just that little bit more crucial in the initial stages. Uh, I was just looking at the Champions League table, and I saw that Bayern Munich is below Dynamo, whom they beat 9-2 in the first match day. So that's how. The tables have turned for Bayern also. And they were beaten comprehensively by Barcelona over the weekend. A 4-1 victory by Barcelona. They're on absolute fire, absolute fire. The Barcelona team since Hansi Flick has taken over.
Yeah,
In third,
and
I think,
Rafinha with a hat trick.
yeah, and Rafi, I mean the entire team is just having fun out there. They've scored 43 goals in 13 matches. So Barcelona is absolutely on fire, and so is Real Madrid 5-2 win over Dortmund. So some very good matches over the weekend. We'll also talk about all the English Premier League clubs who were in the Champions League. Uh, I think all of
And the
them.
and the
All
club
of,
that's at the top of the table unexpectedly, Aston
yeah,
Villa.
yeah, yeah, Aston Villa. Uh, who would have guessed Aston Villa?
It's Emery doing his Europe stuff.
Yes, Emery must be loving being back in Europe because that's where he belongs. That's his bread and butter, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so let's get started. And just before we preview the next game week, quickly we'll run through the last game week and how it went for both of us. We did cover this in the last part, so we'll not spend too much time on it. I scored 46 points and had a small green arrow of about 250k or so. And yeah, majorly Son, who was my last minute transfer instead of Saka because I was uncertain, uh, was the was the chief contributor to the score, with Watkins and NDI also kicking in. No Arsenal clean sheet, double Arsenal defense, one pointer, Konate one pointer, and Haaland blank. So same as we talked about last pod. So nothing much to cover here again. Sharap, you want to quickly run through your team as well?
Yeah, I also had a very small green arrow of 10k, and 42 points, just above the average. No one in my team did especially well, except for Salah and Rogers doing the business as usual, week in, week out. So, yeah, it has been a decent week, and yeah, we can jump on to our game week 9 dilemmas. It has the potential to be a very swingy game week. So let's
Yeah.
go there.
But before we go there, are you going to again just be unfair and ignore Luka Dean? I mean, you have been so unfair towards him, and he's been so loyal to you.
Yeah, he will be there. I'll repay the faith by keeping him in my team and not transferring him out.
Yeah,
4.5 seems justifiable for the points he's
yeah. Yeah.
providing.
So Luka Dean also scored 4 points, and yeah, Flecken had 4 points. So uh, important points this week, which was quite a low scoring game week for everybody. So yeah, let's move ahead. And as you rightly said, a lot to look forward to this game week, and we have some very interesting and and big matches to look forward to, both in terms of general football and in terms of FPL as well. I think this is a very crucial week because all of us, or maybe 70% of the managers, own Erling Haaland, and City are up against Southampton. And a few other good fixtures as well, like Chelsea and Newcastle, West Ham, Man United. It will be interesting to see how Man United do away to West Ham on the back of a good result. So yeah, lots to look forward to. But let's look at these fixtures in some context, and that's where I think the Rob T's projections really come in handy. A huge shout out to Rob T. He's on X at Rob T FPL. So you can find this data right there. So sure, let's get into the discussion, and let's form a base about with this Rob T's um projected goals and projected clean sheet percentage based on the models and the market data. So, uh, wo- before we start, what stands out to you from the projected data of this game week?
Okay, so one thing is City having a huge projected goals as well as a clean sheet percentage. But I mean that's quite obvious. But leaving apart that, something like Chelsea's 2.1 projected score stands out. I mean it's against Newcastle. I know that Newcastle hasn't been great, but 2.1 goal scoring odds at home seems quite high, as well as Brighton's 2.1 goal scoring odds against Wolves. When uh, when Brighton has the possibility of a Welbeck injury and Joao Pedro not playing and their defense not being that watertight. So that could be a let's say 1-1 or a 2-1 game
Yeah,
at max. Yeah, or even a yeah it could be a 1-1 game
yeah.
for Brighton and Wolves.
So let's discuss most of the bigger matches, and especially in terms of FPL, where we have our assets playing, and how these projected goals and the clean sheet percentages would affect our decision making going forward in this game week. So uh, let's start with Manchester City and Southampton because this is the big one, especially because of Erling Haaland's ownership being at 70%, and more so because this seems like a very good game week to play the triple captaincy chip. And when I say this feels like a very good game week, I think at least on paper, uh, this looks like a plum fixture for Manchester City. And let's start with that. So Manchester City here in Robty's projection is about 3 goals. And when you say 3 goals for Manchester City, you obviously expect Erling Haaland to be involved. Uh, but everything about the fixture is a green tick for me. But then comes Haaland's 3 blanks in a row and his own form. So where are you with the triple captaincy on Haaland?
No, so I have no doubt on Haaland's form. So yesterday in the Champions League, he showed that he has still that knack for goal or the ability to score. It's not Haaland's form that's mostly concerning. It's about how City will play. And we extensively spoke about City's creative aspects from the wing, and now Grealish is being injured, is I mean declared as injured or not training, along with Doku. So we won't miss Doku much, but we will definitely miss Grealish. And if again the combination of Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, and Gundogan start, it tends Haaland's appeal a bit.
Yeah, and we're talking about the Champions League. So what we observed from the Champions League match was that both Bernardo and Gundogan were subbed off
Early, yeah.
before 70. Foden played the 90 minutes full, and Matheus Nunes was playing on the left, and he actually did well. If you saw the game, Matheus Nunes performed well on the left. So again leaves a lot of question mark with Pep Rule and what Pep will do over the weekend. You would imagine that injuries to Grealish, Doku would guarantee a start for Foden, but I don't know how to read that 90 minutes for Foden in the Champions League. Whether we see that as back to fitness and a 90-minute run out, or do we see it as a 90-minute midweek game and rest over the weekend? So for Phil Foden owners as well, it's a big um, dilemma this game week. What do you think about Phil
Yeah,
Foden's chance?
yeah, Phil Foden. I mean, Foden. I don't expect Foden to play back-to-back 180 minutes in 4 days. I mean, he hasn't been starting in the Premier League games, the important Premier League games like Newcastle and even Wolves away, where they needed uh, someone like a runner against that high line. So Foden could come in post half time, but I don't see Southampton at home. Pep doesn't see it as a challenging match, and he would have uh, players like Nunes, Mateus Nunes, or Kovacic playing that central or the left role. So yeah, the this time City's prospects aren't looking very good from an FPL standpoint, but yeah, I mean they will definitely score two plus goals. I mean there's no doubt about it. So
So
Haaland,
yeah, final
uh,
word on Haaland triple captaincy. What do you think?
I won't triple captain him because I need to see City blowing teams out of the park to triple
Yeah,
captain Haaland. I mean I would have triple captained Haaland against West Ham. I mean I had a thought, I didn't, but he scored a hat trick. But yeah, that is the sort of form that you want from City to triple captain.
yeah. And if we had any indication that if KDB is fit, then maybe we could have given it a more serious thought. But the fact that KDB is still nowhere near the matchday squad, he's back on the grass training as per Pep, but he says he's still not feeling well. That's his exact quote. So uh, that's another question mark. So it's a risk on paper. I feel on paper, if you see it theoretically, on paper everything is pointing towards a City 4-0, 5-0 kind of a score because it's the worst team in the league, a promoted team that is almost uh, on the verge of surrender or on the verge of having their manager sacked. And Southampton, much like any other team from the bottom of the league or from the promoted teams, you might say, Southampton cannot hold a D block. Any other, like if you take Leicester,
Southampton isn't playing a deep block at well
yes,
as
and
well.
they
They're
don't know
attacking.
how to play D block, so they will come out and play, and that will leave spaces. So on paper
So
and
did
in
Wolves.
theory,
So
but
did Wolves.
Wolves played five at the back for City, and they did hold a deep block. If we saw, they hit City on the counter, and they sat deep. With Southampton, what I'm trying to imply is that they're unable to play like that. Even if they want, they can't
They
play
don't
a
have
deep
the
block.
defense
Yeah,
for it.
they don't have
Absolutely.
the defense. They just don't know. Russell Martin doesn't play deep block. He doesn't know how to execute a deep block. So they will come out and play, and that does leave a lot of room for City to do much damage. But again, uh, as long as you don't see it in the difficult, uh, difficult to triple captain Haaland. Uh, so another thing from this particular data is what stood out to me was City's clean sheet percentage, given the lack of clean sheets, and also given that it is against Southampton at home. 50% chances. Do you think City get a clean sheet
Yeah,
finally?
City keeps a clean sheet. I mean, I know Archer can score a free goal again, but uh, I fully expect City to keep a clean sheet.
Well, Rico Lewis owners will be thankful finally.
But everyone has Rico Lewis. I mean, people having double defense would benefit only for this week. At
Yeah,
least we'll have some respite for seeing a Man City clean sheet after game week one.
yeah, yeah. But Rikuli's overall ownership is still quite low. I mean, maybe in the mini leagues we are seeing
Yeah.
him a lot more, but overall ownership is still quite low. So yeah, I think we've covered City in detail as much as we could. Let's move on to the another great fixture that on paper, another great fixture that's there, and that is I think Brentford against Ipswich. So that's another. If you have a team that doesn't have Erling Haaland, uh, you might go for uh,
Mbumo.
a Brian Mbeumo.
Mbumo is the. I mean, this is the typical fixture that you would want Mbumo for, and Visa for if he was fit and firing. I mean, I wouldn't bring him in just yet because he's coming back from a long-term injury. Not long-term, but yeah, mid-term injury. And yeah, I think, but Mbumo is a gold player for this fixture.
Yeah, yeah. Mbeumo is I think after Haaland the best uh, captaincy option this week.
Yeah,
Uh,
and also the fact that they have Greaves missing with a hamstring injury, and also Tuanzebe. I mean, who would play the right wing for a defensive format. So
yeah,
yeah, they have two vital players missing, and Ipswich always attack. They don't sit deep. So
and their form is as well is quite poor.
that's tipping.
Yeah, it's dipping. So that's a team that's not very high on confidence at this point. And to
Yeah.
go away to Brentford and defend this would be challenging.
In fact, I'm also quite optimistic on a Brentford clean sheet because uh, Delap being good as he is, he generally takes a lot of outside the box shots that bodes well for someone like Flecken, and even for any defenders like Collins or Pinnock, it could be another uh, aerial threat. I mean, they are aerial threats. It could be another goal
Yeah,
because Greaves, their main 6.5 feet guy is missing.
yeah, absolutely agree on that. So yeah, Brentford and Mbumo from this game. Who else? Now Chelsea, as you said, at home, an attacking Chelsea side, and Newcastle who aren't doing that great. I feel the two goal is a fair projection, to be honest. And I think if not for Haaland or Mbumo, I think Cole Palmer is the next obvious choice for captaincy this week against Newcastle at home.
Yeah, Palmer could score a goal. I mean, he could. He has been great. His form has been good, but yeah, I was more skeptical on the 2+ goals. So it can be a 1-0 win or a or a 2-1 win, but yeah, it could be. But that 2.1 projection seems a bit high because these are market odds of having. I mean, these are market odds. So people betting on Chelsea scoring 2+ could be, yeah, we could see a surprise there. It could be a 4-0 game.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways,
Newcastle,
these
I
are
don't expect
projected.
Newcastle to I mean get run over that easily.
Yeah, anyways, these are projected odds, so could be, could not be. These are just the the best guess, you might say. So this is what the market is looking at. So we are just discussing what what the general market thinks is going to happen. So another thing that stands out here because a lot of people have now Brennan Johnson and Hyun-Min Song, so Dominic Solanke. So Spurs are projected as well to score two goals against Crystal Palace. I think that's fair. Crystal Palace, even against Nottingham Forest last week, were quite poor defensively. So if you
I
have,
think it would be more than 2 goals. I mean,
yeah,
it could easily be 3-4 goals again
yeah,
for Spurs.
absolutely agree because that is a good fixture for Spurs, and they like space, and Crystal Palace do leave space. We have seen that for in every game. So uh, good
Yeah,
game for Spurs.
yeah. I think in this fixture, Romero, Van de Ven, anyone can score.
Yeah,
This is
set piece threat. Yeah, definitely,
yeah.
definitely agree with you there. Manchester United against West Ham. Manchester United slightly more than West Ham. Could be a 1-1. Uh, but if you have, if you want to go for United, I think Garnacho is the only option there. Uh, I don't think anybody else, as of now, nobody else has really put their hand up. But Garnacho, 8 shots last game. Uh, he's looking lively, and he looks like he has the license to go and shoot and completely attack. So he's playing his natural game.
And Areola isn't saving any shot. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Any shot on target could be a potential goal. And um, the position Ten Hag is playing Garnacho in, the left wing seems to be the most vulnerable spot for West Ham as well,
yeah,
where Son was exploiting that space.
yeah.
So yeah, Garnacho could be a good shout.
Aston Villa, Bournemouth again. Aston Villa, if you have Watkins, Rogers, you play them against Bournemouth's defense. But now, if you have Aston Villa defense, that is, you have Luka Dean in your team, and Bournemouth are obviously also projected to score, and they have been attacking, and they have been a, s- a side that has scored goals. And they take quite a few shots as well. So, what are your plans with Luka Dean?
Yeah, that's one of the main dilemmas because I have one of the highest shot taking player Semenyo in my team as well. So I'm absolutely confused on what to do with Lucadine because the other option is Colville, and he doesn't have uh, good clean sheet odds as well. Expect
Yeah.
Newcastle to score because Chelsea also leave a lot of space.
However, if you see on the basis of the opposition team's form, I think Newcastle are misfiring at this point,
Mhm.
while Bournemouth are actually high on confidence after 2-0 win against Arsenal.
Yeah,
So if you analyze the opposition for the same decision, I think Colville stands higher in the pecking order than Luka Dean. But Luka Dean has his
an
own
attacking
threat,
threat.
yes, attacking threat, which Colville doesn't offer at all. So it's a trade-off between whether you think Lukadin can get an attacking return, or whether you think that Newcastle are going to misfire again and Chelsea keep a clean sheet. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a close decision. I think it could go either way. Uh, I would still prefer Lukadin a little bit more, but yeah. Um Brighton Wolves, as you said, Brighton without Welbeck. Although Fabian Hersler gave a semi-positive update on Welbeck. He said it's not a serious injury; it was a nerve that pained him a lot, and he's back in training. But we'll have to assess. But as far as I can understand, if a player didn't have any muscle injury, any rib injury, any bone injury, and it was a nerve that pained and hit, and you're already back in training, I don't see any reason why he'll miss Wolves. So I'm quite optimistic with Welbeck taking on Wolves. So I think you can play all your Brighton assets, although I do not expect the Brighton defense to keep a clean sheet against Wolves.
Brighton defense is not. I mean, the 32% clean sheet odds is as good as Brentford. I mean, on paper, but it's not. Looking at how Brighton is defending, it would be more closer to 20%.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have gone early with this transfer, because Wolves is a popular transfer in this week. So if you have Wolves attackers, you play them. If you have ran out Nuri, I don't think you should expect a clean sheet. Uh, but he might get a attacking
Assist or
return. Yeah,
yeah, could
and I
could
think if you have bought in at Nuri, it's not because of clean sheet, and it's because of attacking returns, much like Rico Lewis, and you play him every week because you do not expect a clean sheet from him anyway. I think that covers most of the FPL wise upside games. Arsenal Liverpool, in terms of our real game matchup, it's showing a more or less a 1-1 or pretty similar odds in terms of clean sheets and goals scored. So
yeah.
market if
In fact, yeah. In fact, I see the clean sheet odds of both team should be a lot higher. I mean, both are they Arsenal will play defense. first, and Liverpool is also playing a very controlled game. I don't think no one is willing to attack or is going will go into that game thinking of scoring 2+ goals. So it could well end in a nil-nil.
Yeah, I'll discuss this with you in my game selection, team selection segment because that is one of the dilemmas I have this week. So we'll keep it for that. Uh, I'll just touch upon some of the defensive clean sheet odds because we talked about attack a lot. Popular defenses: Everton, Nottingham Forest, similar clean sheet odds. Although you will back Nottingham Forest a little bit more against Leicester. Everton against Fulham, I don't think again it could be a clean sheet, but I could be wrong like the last week where I thought against Ipswich Everton won't be keeping a clean sheet, but they did. But I don't think against Fulham you would be very confident of a clean sheet against. Uh,
Yeah, Fulham could score.
yeah,
Fulham is
and
attacking now.
I think this game is good for both attackers. I mean, Everton attackers, if you have them, you play. Fulham attackers, if you have them, you play. I think both sides can. This game can go either way. So, good game for both the teams. So, I think that's all. Anything else that you would like to talk about on this?
Yeah, one game that we are missing is the not I mean Nottingham Forest attack. So Leicester against Leicester, even if they are away to Leicester, 1.38 seems like a bit low. They have the capability. I mean, we have seen Leicester defense. Vestergaard is injured, so they have the capability of scoring 2+ goals. We have seen Tottenham get a lot of chances, even at home against Leicester. Arsenal getting a lot of chances against Leicester. Havertz taking a lot of shots. So anyone like Wood would benefit very much from their positional weakness.
Yes, and Wood is in red hot form, so you'd expect him to, continue that streak. So yeah, but Nottingham Forest would love to have Morgan Gibbs White back as soon as possible. So, but even without him, I think they have enough firepower to score a couple of goals against
Ward
Leicester.
Prowse will be back. So
Yeah, yeah. So let's move ahead from this now.
yeah,
Yeah, and this is more or less the same data, but as you can see again, what we were talking about, Man City on paper looks like an absolute belter of a fixture, and we know Erling Haaland to be a flat track bully, so maybe the triple captain risk might just pay off. Who knows? If you're brave enough, you can go. If you're a little more pragmatic, like the two of us, uh, maybe you'll hold it off for later. So it depends upon your risk-taking ability and how much you want to, you know, go against the crowd or something. So let's come to our team, Shourav, and let's discuss what we're planning to do. Any transfer? How many transfers do you have? How much do you have in the bank? Do you plan any transfers? Take us
yeah,
through your
I
team.
yeah I have two free transfers at the moment with 1.8 million in the bank. So I have quite a lot of option. Let me take you through some. So first thing is Haaland and Salah not going anywhere. I mean, I do have them in my team, and losing them at this point when their fixtures turn doesn't make sense. So the places that I'm willing to make change are uh, the forward lineup of Pedro and Havertz, and the midfield lineup of Semenyo, because Semenyo's fixtures are not great, even though this particular game may appeal, but the fixtures going forward are City and I think they're Newcastle, Chelsea, or they don't have the greatest of fixtures till game week 12. And in defense, I would like to downgrade Trent at some point because 7 million, he's not delivering his money's worth. I mean, even if he keeps a clean sheet, I would very much invest on Konate uh, or even Van Dyke for that matter, where they
He's a
could even
cash cow sitting there.
yeah, he's a cash cow. So that's these are the four main places that I want to change. I don't want to change Colville or my favorite Lucadinha. So uh, they are there because none of the defenses have been putting up their hands. So For this week, what I was initially planning was moving Joao Pedro because I have lost value in him. I think he dropped to 5.4 now. So I'm planning on moving Joao Pedro to either uh, one of the Wolves attacker or Chris Wood. So these were my two options.
How much do you have in the bank?
1.8.
Oh, so you
I
can
have
easily
enough.
move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have enough money to move him around. So the reasoning behind Chris Wood, I mean, Wolves is quite obvious. They have a good run of fixture. Their attackers are in form, but the reason for Chris Wood being is that he has two good fixtures of Leicester and then West Ham. West Ham is at home, and then Newcastle also is at home. So he could take a long, nick in a goal or two, and then also moving Havertz because Havertz has Liverpool, Chelsea, and
Newcastle.
Newcastle. So Arsenal could score, but they are not currently ripping teams apart. So Havertz at 8.2 million is quite expensive. I could rather invest that money somewhere else. So I'm planning on going two cheap strikers and then investing the money in upgrading Semenyo. So now
Okay.
that Semenyo could go up to someone like Son if if Son is firing on all cylinders, or even someone like colepalmer. But for Palmer, I
You'll need
have to
more money.
downgrade. Yeah, I need to downgrade Trent.
Yeah.
Now that's a move for later because Chelsea's fixtures. I mean, although if Palmer is good, but Chelsea's fixtures aren't the best. So as of this week, Joao Pedro is going, irrespective of who I bring, and yeah, and maybe I'll lose Havertz.
Okay. So you're basically trying to change your team structure to two premium mids.
Yeah, to premium mids.
Yeah, I think that's the structure everybody's trying to get to going forward. And yeah,
Um,
losing Trent I think makes sense at this point.
but yeah, I'll keep hold of trend at least for these 2 3 weeks. And for the, I'll just read out my team for the benefit of the listeners.
Yeah.
So I have Flecken in goal, uh, whereas Ipswich at home I definitely play. In defense, I would play Trent and Lewis. The third defender, I'm planning on either playing Colville or Lucadinha. Now that I've looked at it from an opponent attacking point, I think yeah, now Colville is has a better chance of keeping a clean sheet.
At least our pod could convince you. So
Yeah,
that's a start.
yeah, that was kind of helpful. Now in mid, I have Brennan Johnson, Mbumo, Rogers, and Salah. These four are would definitely play. And up top, I have Haaland captain. Now for the what I'm planning on, instead of playing a 3-5-2, I would play a 3-4-3, where I would bend Semenyo, and up top I would play Wood and either of Strand Larson or Cunha.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's a good move. That has
now,
good upside this week and also
yeah,
going forward. So
yeah, but the thing is, I have to bench Semenyo, and is Semenyo worth benching? Is he a must play for this fixture? I know Aston Villa at home could leave a high line, but Semenyo is not actually. I mean, he's taking a lot of shots, but he's not that direct.
yeah, but I think both the options are equally viable because Semenyo could score against Villa. Villa is not a watertight defense, so it's not a bad play to play Semenyo against Villa as well. Or even the alternate moves that you just mentioned with Havertz and João Pedro to maybe a Cunha and Wood. I think that would be a super attacking and a very high side. Uh, Potential high side team because they can all go off and they're all in good hot form. And there is a lot of value in the cheap strikers this season, so it makes sense to go for that move. And uh, why wait if that is the ultimate move that you're going to make? This is a good week where Wood is playing Leicester and Cunha is playing Brighton, so I think makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's my team. You can move on to
Yeah, yeah.
what you're
So
planning.
I'll come to my team. Yeah, so for the benefit of the listeners, I'll just read my team out. I have Raya in goal. I have Lewis, Mikolenko, and my third defender would be either Gabriel or Konate. That's a discussion that we'll have in the pod right now. That is something I wanted to discuss. In the midfield, I have Rogers, Son, Foden, Ambomo, and up top I have Watkins, Haaland, and India. And on the bench, I have Fabianski who's not playing, Carvalho, Konate or Gabriel, one of the 12 bench, and Greaves who's injured. So no transfers for me this week. Although I have, I think I have one free transfer and about a million and a half in the bank. But yeah, so my dilemma this week is in the defense line because Raya is my goalkeeper, so he's going to play. Lewis against Southampton, he'll be there on the starting lineup. Now it's between Gabriel, Mikolenko, and Konate. And so my initial thought is to distribute the risk and go Raya. Because I have Raya, I'll bench Gabriel and play Konate and Mikolenko. Although, as we saw, I think both Fulham and Everton had equal chances of scoring even in the Rob T's projection. So Mikolenko also, I don't feel like has a good clean sheet potential, and I fully expect Fulham to score. So yeah, that's my confusion there. So whether I distribute the risk with Raya, Konate, Mikolenko, do I predict and go after a 0-0 draw and I play Raya, Gabriel, and Konate, or do I just back Arsenal's defense at home and I go Raya, Gabriel, and Mikolenko? So that's the kind of decisions that I have on my hand, and I think I'm more burned by the recency bias of benching Mikolenko 7 pointer. So I'm finding it difficult to bench Mikolenko against Fulham at home. What
Yeah,
would
the
you do?
yeah the real I mean the the idea of distributing the risk doesn't actually uh, make sense because you're looking at Gabriel objectively that he's a huge aerial threat, and Saka, like uh, as per the recent updates that we got, Saka is back in training and he will definitely play against Liverpool.
Yeah, I
So
also expect him to play
yeah,
completely.
and
Yeah.
with those ensuing corners, Gabriel could well score a header. And even if he doesn't score, Arsenal at home they're going to defend with Calafiori out. I think Arteta will plan to keep a tight backline. So Gabriel eh, in himself is a very good pick. The decision would more come towards Mikolenko or Konate. Now, do you expect Arsenal to score against Liverpool? Yeah, I mean, they could.
I
Liverpool.
actually in my bones I could feel I am feeling a nil-nil, to be honest with you, because I
Yeah, I expect
somehow
the
I
same.
feel yeah somehow I feel Arteta would go safety first, and to be honest, Arteta needs to win this more than uh, Liverpool because
He
again
doesn't need
dropping
to.
points.
Yeah, he
Eh,
he, he shouldn't be dropping points.
yeah, and Arteta dropping points again would be catastrophic for Arsenal season now. And he did come out in the press conference and said, "Oh, we are going to fly high against
And
Liverpool in
that
the
means
weekend."
that means they're going to play a deep block. I mean,
Yes,
he
yes.
could very well recall uh, Rob Holding and play him back
Yeah,
five.
but I read that statement the exact same way you did. I said, if he's saying we're going to fly high, expect Saka to be the one, only the lone man in the forward line, and everybody else defending. So this is a confusion, and I think, yeah, I think it will be a decision I'll make closer to the deadline and based on what I feel because there is no right answer to this. That's what I
But
feel.
it should be between Konate and Mikolenko, not Gabriel and Konate. I mean, I would play Gabriel irrespective.
Yeah. But I again, Mikolenko, Fulham,
Yeah, Mikolenko, yeah, feel like because the thing is, I see Arsenal playing a deep block, but the problem is the left back. It's if Arteta plays Kiwior, not just the left back, it's the left back and Saliba they're missing. If Arteta plays Kiwior and Zinchenko alongside Gabriel, I mean the defense, even the if they play a D block, it the defense could crumble at any point. I mean they can't keep Salah out.
yeah, I agree with you there. Let's see. So kind of a boring week for me, except for this defensive decision and no transfers. So nothing, not as exciting as your team and
Yeah,
your decisions. But
my team is exciting, but you have a great team. You have Son, Foden, Watkins,
I have NDI sitting right there.
Haaland.
That's a two-pointer. You can just strike his name off and write two there.
Yeah, in fact, Carvalho on the bench is also tempting.
But he won't
And
start. If he was starting, I would have really put him in there.
yeah,
But
Visa being back kind of tends his
yeah,
appeal.
yeah. If he was starting, he would definitely be in there instead of NDI.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep hold of NDI because Everton play Southampton next, and I want to play him there. I after,
And India is playing 90 minutes. I
yes,
mean, so yeah,
yeah,
he's good.
and he's getting the bonus points even though he's blanking. Mentioned it in the last pod as well.
Yeah.
So he's a bonus point magnet, of sorts. So after the Southampton game, I think I'll look to move him on. But when I bought him in on the wild card, I wanted to keep him till Southampton. I wanted that Leicester fixture where he gave me a 9 pointer, and I want that Southampton fixture out of him as well. So yeah, that's my team. Let's move on. Enough discussions on that. Let's come on to the captaincy options. I think if you have Haaland, there is no debate here. You go Haaland captain against Southampton. Uh, I think that we would agree on, wouldn't we? Sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Haaland is the standout captain. Uh, I mean, this is the prime game in the entire season.
Yes. So
And
you don't take a risk against that unnecessarily. So if you have Haaland, captain him. Now the entire conversation around captaincy is only in two parts. If you don't have Haaland, who's the better captain? Who's the next best captain? And I think we've listed down Mbumo, Watkins, and Palmer. Uh, for me, it's in the order of Mbumo, Palmer, and Watkins in that order. Uh, how would you rate it?
yeah, I would rate in the same way because Watkins. I mean, Watkins is a better pick than Palmer if he was playing 90, but he isn't. And Palmer also has penalties. So
Yeah,
yeah, I would rate Palmer over Watkins.
yeah. We forgot to mention he was benched in the Champions League game and played 25 minutes in the end. I don't think that's something to worry about. I think that's only a rest to play him
Yep.
on the weekend because Aston Villa had an comparatively easier fixture against Bologna. So that that's I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. And I think PL, all the Premier League teams got their wins in the Champions League. Arsenal won 1-0, and
Liverpool also.
Liverpool won 0-1 away. So everybody got their win. Although with Arsenal, we forgot, and I'm digressing a bit, and we'll come back to the captaincy. But just because you are an Arsenal fan, and we cannot miss this point, uh, Trossard missed the penalty, but the fact that he took a penalty while Havertz was on the pitch, is that something new? Is
And I think it was more of a team play where Havertz wanted to or wanted Trossard to take it since they were anyways winning. So because Havertz wouldn't give away a penalty for no reason. The thing is, even in uh, the Euro Cup, so when Gundogan took a hit uh, while conceding or while he got that penalty and he was laying down, Havertz took the ball and he was straight up in that penalty spot. So he is there for the taking. I think it was more of a kind of a giveaway to Trossard, but yeah, which he missed, and I don't think Trossard is going to take any penalty while Havertz is on the pitch, and if Saka is not there.
Yeah, Arsenal tend to give penalties to each other. You know, Saka handing it over to
Yeah, yeah,
Odegaard handing it over to Havertz. We've seen
yeah,
that all before in the last season.
yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
thing. But yeah, Saka is clearly the penalty taker, and if it's not on the pitch, it would be Havertz.
clearly not a good thing if you're a FPL manager and you have Saka in your team. Ah,
Yeah,
yeah. So again, coming back to the captaincy, we digress there. Haaland, and then Mbumo, Watkins, and Palmer and Watkins. That's the order for us. Triple captain, I think we have covered a lot in the earlier slides. So we have given our thoughts. If you're listening to us, make your own decisions. You can take the risk. A lot of people thought Ipswich in game week 2 was too early to play triple captaincy chip, but that turned out very well. And the fact that there are not many double game weeks to come in this season is another factor. I think we already have the free hit chip. We have uh, the mystery chip coming up, and there will be a maximum of two double game weeks. And in terms of a big double game week, I think we are only expecting one game week to be slightly bigger double game week. I think game week 34.
36.
I think it 34 or 36. Yeah, you're right. So either of those two would be a double game week. And even the blank game weeks are very small. I think 29 will have only two teams blanking this time around. So not much like last season to play a lot in the later stages. So yeah, I think it's a decision. And you also have the bench boost to play. So this might be a good time, or if you want to wait,
Yeah, this is the prime fixture. I think playing the triple captain this week makes much more sense than not playing it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, nobody would blame you if you played it. It's absolutely there on the table to take. And whether you do it or not, that's your call. So, right then, enough on the captaincy options. Time for the exciting part, the differentials. Sure, who's your differential this week?
Uh, I wouldn't call him a differential to be exact. He's almost 12% owned, but this week I would go with Chris Wood.
Chris Wood. That's a good shot. Yeah, but doesn't feel like a differential.
Yeah, because he is on a lot of people's radar, but even his ownership is not that high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would very much love to say Foden, but I don't trust Pep.
Foden at 9.2 would be a very expensive differential
Yeah,
for people to
that's
bring.
a very expensive. That's not a differential
Yeah.
to be
So
exact.
my differential for this week is also forward, and I would go with Yoan Wissa from Brentford. I think he's back from injury against Ipswich. This is a prime fixture for him to come back and get into his rhythm. And I think he can, with Mbumo and Wissa, that partnership always works. They connect very well. They understand each other. So I think Wissa would start, and Wissa can go big this game week. So yeah, my differential for the week would be Brentford, Zoe, and Wissa. So, since both of our differentials were forward lines, some people might be looking at some midfield options to consider this week because many people still have the Diaz problem or the Jota problem because he's injured as well, and we haven't heard much from Arne Slot with that points towards him being back. So, if you had to make a 6 to 8 million transfer this week, sure, where would you go?
So the first option that's staring us in the face is Bumo. If we don't have Fembumo, he's the first player to get, and as I think he's close to 7.5 million now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
7.6 in fact.
yeah. So that's a good price point to have, and I think yeah, it's a good replacement for either Diaz or Jota.
Yeah,
Another player that I would I would think of bringing in the near future around the same price point if you have Pumo uh, is Anthony Gordon, because I see Newcastle turning the tide when these when these top six teams play the European fixtures. I mean, they could very well benefit from the rest that they're getting.
I don't like the Anthony Gordon pick, especially at this stage, because if you see their fixtures also, they're very poor. They I think in a couple of game weeks they play Chelsea now. In a couple of game weeks time they'll play Arsenal, then they'll play City. So I
But
think
the
this
chances,
is
but the chances Gordon is getting,
yeah.
I mean,
But he's
yeah,
not
that
finishing them off as well. So in terms of if you look in terms of fixtures and form, I think Anthony Gordon, well, my
is a look for the future. I mean,
is the future.
it's
Yeah.
it's kind of a long term. You look at it from a game week 12, 13
Yes.
perspective when
Yes.
the Newcastle fixtures turn and the Christmas time period comes in. That's
Exactly. I absolutely agree with you. I think if you're going to move that route, I think you can go for Embumo now and then switch over
and
to a Gordon
yeah,
later on.
that's and even because people, I mean, engaged managers have Mbumo, even Brennan Johnson uh, as their 6.5 to 7.5 million pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, I thought of having Gordon as a long-term option
Yeah.
where we could eventually switch.
So I think in that bracket, my choice again, as you just mentioned him, Brennan Johnson is one of the I think best sub after I think Foden, KDB, that 9 million, the best performing asset I think goes back to Brennan Johnson. One another differential that I would like to mention here, which if you want, if you're feeling punty and you want to take a punt, is Garnacho. We mentioned him in the pod earlier as well, and he's looking like a live wire. And even when I said this before in our previous review pods as well, every time, even though Manchester United are losing or whatever they're doing, he always looks to be involved. He looks turned on, and he's a selfish player. What we like in FPL, and he's always going, cutting it from the left and shooting, or cutting it from the right and shooting. So yeah, Garnacho is, I think, someone you can look at and you can go for if you want to take a punt.
Yeah, Garnacho is also on my radar. I mean, from game week 11 and 12, their fixtures done. They have Leicester, Ipswich. I think West Ham is the next fixture. Even now,
Even
bringing
now, it's
Garnacho,
yes,
yeah,
great entry point. West
good.
Ham is a defensive target for sure. Right then. So I think that's that. We've covered everything that we wanted to. Shurab, anything from your end? Anything else that you would like to mention?
No, I think this is going to be an exciting week.
Yeah. So that's it from our end. Good luck to you and good luck to everybody. Hope you all have a great game week and all have huge, big, fat green arrows to show off for the next game week. And we'll see you again after the game week 9 is done. We'll come out with the review pod and we'll see you there and we'll review how our teams did and what kind of transfers we did and how it all went. So see you on the other side of the week. And before we leave, as usual, uh, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do like and subscribe, comment. Your comments mean a lot to us. And if you're watching, if you're listening to us on the audio platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you catch your podcast from, do follow our podcast and interact with us on our socials on X, Instagram, and Threads. You can find us at FooTea Fantasy. And as usual, as always, we'd like to interact with you and we look forward to your feedback. So, on that note, thank you everyone and have a good game week. All the best and see you again. Bye bye.